Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Infrared. I am your host, Christian Chassin. And unfortunately, Dean could not be with us today. He is caught in the infrared. Hopefully, throughout the show, Nephinor, with his alien technology, can hopefully pull him out. But until then, I will introduce Jim Kelvarn. How's it going, Jim?
It's going great, Christian. It's San Diego Comic-Con weekend. Unfortunately, I'm not there because tickets are impossible to get.
Rachel Edwards. How's it going, Rachel? Fresh from GGMPC.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's actually really great. I'm glad to be back home finally, in a house with air conditioning.
Nephinor. How's it going?
We come seeking peaceful coexistence and Cheetos.
Well, you'll get your Cheetos if you could successfully get Dean out of the infrared. And running the back room, as always, is the amazing James Huff. How's it going, James?
It's going just fine.
All right, now who rolled the one?
Rachel.
That
Rachel,
would be
take
me.
us through our topics.
Okay, I will. Everything you know about boys in video games is wrong. Boys think women are over-sexualized, and video games are just for boys. At least this is what the author says the game industry is saying. However, according to the author's studies, she found the exact opposite, and boys think women are too often treated as sex objects. Also, check out Batman's enormous junk from San Diego Comic-Con. Really just a bit of clickbait from the hyper-moronic people at Polygon, but is it really that big a deal? Sorry. Gamergate fail, the rise of ass-kicking women in video games. Quote, at the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3, the largest video game industry event of the year, developers unveiled a half-dozen games with female protagonists. The tide is turning, unquote. Except that it had less games produced with female protagonists than the previous year. Nuff said. Sorry, Gamergate. Even teenage boys are sick of sexist video games. Quote, a surprisingly high proportion of male youths think female game characters are too often treated as sex objects. Many teenage boys are tired of the sexualized depiction of women in video games, according to the finding of a new survey. In a study of about 1,400 U.S. youths, 47% of middle school boys and 61% of high school boys agreed that women are treated as sex objects too much in games. The findings counter to any assumptions that boys will voraciously consume media images of scantily clad women without a second thought, unquote. I want to see this study and see how biased it is. Everything you need to see from this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Several different trailers for things being premiered at San Diego Comic-Con. This was a decent resource for those who have not been able to get tickets to see this hot event. Sadly, those who can't get tickets are just about everyone, as San Diego Comic-Con has become known as one of the most sought-after con tickets around. Just wait a week to see the leaked footage of all the panels. Ellen Pao, or Chairman Pao, stepping down as Reddit interim CEO after user rebellion. Ellen Pao, the interim CEO of Reddit, stepped down from her position today following criticism from some forum users over the firing of a popular employee. Steve Huffman, a Reddit co-founder and original CEO, will return as chief executive, according to a Reddit announcement. Quote, in my 8 months as Reddit CEO, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly on Reddit, unquote, Pao said today in a resignation post. I just want to remind everyone that I am just another human. I have a family, and I have feelings. Everyone attacked on Reddit is just another person like you and me, unquote. Maybe you will realize firing a good employee might be a bad decision. Hashtag Gamergate. ABC producer tells senator to shut the fuck up regarding investigation. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation was caught in an alleged lie regarding their coverage of Gamergate. They told the ACMA that there were no interviews on hand to offer a counter perspective to the slanted news story they ran on Gamergate, even though it turns out that they did have interviews on hand offering a counter perspective. One of Australia's senators has been investigating the ABC recently after charges of journalistic impropriety were brought to his attention. Said ABC producer Tom Greenard said that the senator could shut the fuck up. For those not in the know, it's an acronym that means shut the fuck up. Sorry, I should have just said STFU. All right, and I think that's all. Is that all? I think so.
That's all. Plus, we have a couple of bonus topics as well that we might get to. Hopefully, we can get to. What should we start with?
There's so
I
much
want to talk
here.
about Chairman Powell.
Yeah.
Me too.
99999.
Reddit's AMA-geddon seems to have actually had an impact as Ellen Pao is stepping down. For those of you who don't know, Ellen Pao actually was, I believe, the direct cause for firing a Reddit employee, a female Reddit employee, by the way. I should point that out. It's a female employee who has been, for several years, integral to the AMA process, or the Ask Me Anything process. She has done such a good job that when she was fired, Reddit and subreddit moderators were closing down or making their subreddits private in protest.
Well, I want to point out that, yes, her name was Victoria, and it's rather amusing that they would actually do that. I mean, you don't generally see people standing up for other people, but it's nice. It really is nice to see this. I mean, this is when you see, this is actual injustice. The firing of Victoria, because if I remember correctly, she was suffering from leukemia or something like that. And then this Chairman Pao decides to fire her. I believe there are laws against that.
No, the leukemia patient was somebody else. That was a completely different person that Chairman Pao fired.
What really gets me is that Victoria is so integral to the AMA process. She worked her ass off. And not only did she work her ass off to make the AMA process as streamlined and as easy as it was, when she was fired, she was so committed to doing her job that she volunteered to keep doing it without pay.
No. At some point, that's just abusing yourself. I'm sorry. I respect what the moderators did for her for the other employees, but
I should clarify. She was scheduled to do an AMA with, I can't remember who, but she was scheduled to do an AMA with a celebrity, and she was fired before the AMA went live, and she volunteered to go ahead with that AMA and do it without pay, even though she was.
Yeah. Why was she fired though? Exactly. Why did they let her go though?
I'm not entirely sure. As far as I know, Reddit is not supplying any details.
Yeah, they've been really ridiculous. I mean, I know there were some leaks in the past about conversations that mods would have amongst one another, and these people are, I don't know, it feels really like the worst group of people. Like, I mean, that was just people who are volunteers. I don't even know what sort of folks are there at the top who are actually getting paid, what they're actually like. It seems like just some really terrible individuals out there at Reddit. I don't think it's everybody, but certainly enough that it warrants, looking into. And it's something I've felt for a good long time.
Well, what I find particularly disgusting about this whole situation is that when Ellen Pao finally did step down, she said, in my 8 months as Reddit CEO, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly on Reddit. I just want to remind everyone that I'm just another human. I have a family and I have feelings. Everyone attacked on Reddit is just another person like you and me. Does this seem like she's trying to shift the blame to anybody else?
She is shifting the blame.
That's her MO.
It seems like she's trying to like hold up her hands and say, "All right, I'm stepping down, but it's your fault."
Well, that everything that she's done thus far, everything in terms of her decision making, everything that I've seen her do in just minor research has been this kind of mentality of playing the victim, and she seems to be a very just not a nice person to want to engage with. Someone who really, I don't know how I can articulate this better, but it's just she doesn't seem like the kind of person that really takes responsibility for anything.
Yeah, that's about the best way to put it.
Even when she's really in the wrong. I mean, there was that affair that she had with an employee when she was working at her previous place of employment, and he was somebody higher up, and that was really messy. And then she started to do things like alleging that she was being discriminated against, when really just nobody really seemed to like her because she was just she was pretty much a terrible person, and she would cause drama and just.
Well, didn't she end up losing a case?
Yes, she did. She did.
Was it sexual harassment in the workplace?
Well, she alleged that she was passed up.
Or was it sexual discrimination?
Yeah, she was saying sexual discrimination, that she was trying to say that she was passed up for job opportunities based on gender, when in reality she was actually not a really great employee. Her performance was continuously lackluster, and they just
so when it came up for the next review, Rachel, if I may, because this goes back to the previous point you made about her having an affair. So basically, she's been getting by, fucking her way to the top.
Well, I don't know if I have enough evidence to really say that, but the thing about it is
there's enough evidence to sit there and call that into question.
Well, there's enough to say that that she was very. I don't really want to make any kind of claims without any evidence, but what we do have evidence of is that the people who did defend her, who absolutely were on her side, by the end of their interactions with her, towards the end, they wanted nothing to do with her. And that's just kind of the sort of person that she seems to be, from what I've seen in research and talks with people who worked with her, and they said that she was this promising person, she had a lot of potential, but she really continuously didn't do really great work, and she was trying to allege discrimination, and meanwhile she was involved in a messy affair. She was acting unprofessionally and then acted like a victim.
Yeah. And victim status makes her untouchable in the eyes of certain people, but
not only did she lose the case, she lost it so bad that they wanted her to pay money back to them.
Yeah, and she's got the resources to pay that money back, and the judge actually brought it down from the original over $1 million cost of the legal fees to under $250,000. She's paid, but the condition was that they would not ask for that money. They would just completely waive that money if she didn't pursue it any further. She's pursuing it further. It got the cost got bumped down, and she has the money to pay this $250,000 fine. Does anybody else see a huge problem here besides me?
No. In fact, I would like. I don't even know how Ellen Pao became the CEO of Reddit, the interim CEO of Reddit, and I'm trying to Google that now because I want to know how in the hell she became the interim CEO over at Reddit. Given her history, given that she lost the case so poorly, she was ordered to pay. I think it was for legal fees.
Yes, it was legal fees.
She was ordered to pay for the defense's legal fees.
She wasted the time of the court and everything. I mean, it was that bad off. I mean, that's not something that happens all the time.
Yeah, well, what I still want to point out is the fact that the judge still said that the $1 million was excessive, and he cut it in a quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, if I've got to point this out. Would that have happened if it were a guy? Well, I don't even think it would have actually gone to trial if it were a guy. But just for shits and grins, let's think. If it actually did go to trial, would the cost that they were asking be knocked down?
Likely not.
A freaking chance.
Likely, it's very unlikely that it would have been.
Yeah, but something else I want to point out along this same vein is: has anybody seen the New York Times article?
Which one?
Well, the original one, which was actually fair and balanced, and then the complete redo that they did, without pointing out that it was edited, to spin this story like it's just pure sexism against POW.
Oh god, I've seen a couple of those. It was just a lot of people just kind of covered their asses, and they didn't want to come out and say, "Oh, by the way,
Oh
this
no,
is someone
no, I'm talking about the New York Times completely redid the article.
Really?
Yes, I will. I will link that in our group chat. I can get it to actually link. Anyway, the news diffs. What is it? News diffs. Oh, Jesus. My computer is not.
Yeah. Well, you can send that to us later. But either way, I'm glad that POW is stepping down. Overall, everybody has been really just pissed overall with what she's been doing to Reddit and just the whole Reddit structure. I don't think it's just POW.
Well, what I really, really hope happens is I hope Victoria gets her job back, because she was incredibly integral to the AMA process. She made sure that whoever was doing the AMA was being completely honest and was able to provide sources to support the answers that they were giving to questions, so that people weren't just blowing smoke up people's asses.
I don't know. I mean,
so she was integral in keeping those who did the AMAs honest. That is why her job was so integral to the AMA process. That is why her dedication to the job was so integral to it.
I question that based upon some of the people she's had there, but okay. Yeah, I dropped a link in our little shared chat. You can see how much they actually changed with the New York Times article, and it's just become all about sexism against POW.
Yeah, this certainly needs to be in the show notes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, this needs to be in the show notes.
Yeah. I mean, they changed
pretty much the entire article.
Yes. I'm looking at it, and I see only basically a grand total of a couple of sentences that are still from the original article. And there is nothing...
Just to give the listeners, because they can't see this yet until it's actually in the show notes, the original article opened, Ellen Pao, the interim chief executive of Reddit, resigned from the online message board on Friday after a week of ceaseless criticism from scores of angry users over the handling of an employee departure. That's the first line in the original article. It was changed to, Ellen Pao became a hero to many when she took on the entrenched sexist culture of Silicon Valley. That's the new version of the article. So just to give you an example
of
how much that this was actually changed.
God.
So that really needs to be in the show notes in the description. So the listeners need access to this.
Good job, New York Times, for being full of shit.
Well, you know, over the course of everything that we've talked about it, I've pretty much lost all faith or any faith that I had in journalism, in mainstream journalism. Just period. I didn't expect that to happen, but you know, last year I might not have felt that way.
You had faith in journalists? Wow.
I'm saying I did at least a little bit, more than I expected. Maybe about a year ago.
Well, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong here because I'm Canadian, but isn't the New York Times a decidedly uber liberal publication to begin with?
Yes, I would have to agree that they are, but they do tend to try and pretend that they're unbiased.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The way things seem to be, at least in the States, is that there's a certain amount of reputation attached to certain publications, because often they're very, very old and things like that. And I've watched one by one, every single one of those has just pulled the party line, pulled the social justice line, the narrative, and it's just become increasingly disgusting.
And the New York Times is one of the older ones. I mean, let me see. I'm Googling this right now. I think the New York Times is over 100 years old.
And I'm reading this. I mean, and the new article continues on, but sentiment is a fickle thing, and late Friday, the entrepreneur fell victim to a shrill crowd demanding her ouster as chief executive of the popular social media site Reddit. Ms. Powell's abrupt downfall in the face of a torrent of sexist and racist attacks. Ms. Powell apparently was a victim of a torrent of sexist and racist attacks. Except it was nothing like that at all.
Yeah, there were no torrents. I don't remember ever seeing that on any of the torrent sites.
All right. According to several sites, the New York Times was first published back September 18th, 1851. So this news, and I use that word loosely, this news outlet is over 100 years old. You'd think with that level of history, they would know that it's best to keep it unbiased and keep some sort of integrity so that people keep coming back.
I don't know, this...
Unfortunately, they're using that history and their reputation.
You can't expect them to actually be good. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, I understand I'm still young and things like that, and maybe it was, well, actually, it's probably very foolish to have any faith in mainstream journalism at all, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Well, it's more about the idea that people would have something resembling journalistic integrity.
Now you're just...
Well, that doesn't exist anymore in mainstream media.
Yeah.
Mainstream media they're puppets. They're political puppets on both sides.
Well, now I know. And knowing is half the battle.
Fox is clearly championing the Republican Party. MSNBC is clearly championing the Democrat Party.
And if you want an actual unbiased news source, you're not going to find it. But what you can do is listen to them both and make your own damn opinion by figuring it out.
Also, you really need to learn how to read between the lines as well.
Well, I do now. Like I said, I know now. And knowing is half the battle.
Pay attention to how they're saying it. Pay attention to their body language, their tone of voice. You could easily tell when somebody is just blowing smoke out of your ass in front of a camera.
Man, I hate that when that happens.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Are we done with this topic, or do we want to keep talking?
I think so.
I like the idea of killing off Chairman Powell permanently, though. This topic needs to die, just like...
Yeah, this is just going to be taken entirely out of context.
Yes.
Exactly.
There's no way this can go well. Thanks for that, Nuff, Nora. Thank you.
That was the idea.
Let's talk about this Raw
Let's
story
talk
article.
Ah, darn! I was hoping to talk about Batman's enormous junk, but okay.
Well, let's talk
No,
about that.
no.
Why does he
don't
have
want to get
enormous
Rachel too
junk, though?
excited.
Well,
Why
here's the
does he have
thing. It's
enormous
like
junk?
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the
Looking at
GIF.
Batman's enormous junk.
I'm looking at the GIF, and honestly, it's not really that big. It seems wider than it is just to add symmetry because it's a metallic suit. It's a metallic. The Batman armor in the next Superman versus the next movie, Batman versus Superman. It's a metallic suit of armor, and so the cup, the jock piece, it seems wider just to add symmetry.
Okay, you're talking about the last one on the Polygon article. The first one, the bat. I'm looking at that one. That's going to be the suit Affleck's wearing for a good portion of it when he's not facing off against Superman. But and this is sad that I'm actually looking at a couple of guys' junks. But if you really look on the Kryptonian one, it actually looks like Superman's got the bigger dick.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Well,
let's
see. Here's the thing. It's hard to tell because of the angle and the distance away. They were much closer when they took the shot of Batman's junk, and so it does. Batman's junk does look bigger at first glance, but if you were to take it, distance into account, they both pretty much look the same size, to be honest.
That's fair. I'm gonna enjoy looking at Wonder Woman though.
Okay.
Hey, what can I
All that
say? I much prefer to look at a woman's boobs than I do at a guy's dick. I'm just. What can I say?
I mean, so what's the problem? What's the problem here? What problem does Polygon have with these?
It's oppressive.
Lawsuits?
It's
No,
oppressive.
I want to point a couple of things out. One, it's the fact that Polygon created this article about Batman's junk, and nobody really gives a shit about this. Nobody cares. But if we sat there and we talked about Wonder Woman's boobs, how much hate and screaming of misogyny do you think people would be saying?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this article, and I mean, the sad thing is, this article has like no fucking substance to it whatsoever. It's 2 paragraphs, short paragraphs, I should add, 2 very, very short paragraphs, and then they've added in a YouTube video and 4 animated GIFs. Oh, and there's another video. I'm guessing that's the trailer. There's 1 paragraph up at the top, followed by 4 animated GIFs, a second small paragraph, and then the trailer. So, I mean, what is the point of this article?
The point of the article is just basically clickbait, honestly.
Oh, God.
But what I'm trying to point out, and I know you understand exactly what I'm saying, Christian, is if we were to sit there and create this same article and just focus on Wonder Woman's enormous boobs, Wonder Woman's huge boobs from San Diego Comic-Con, how many people would be sitting there crying sexism, misogyny, and everything like that?
Well, to be fair, her boobs really aren't that big. They're just shapely.
Oh, yes, they're very nice. So's the rest of her. But what I'm trying to point out is the whole. This is the double standard. This is perfectly talking about Batman's junk is perfectly acceptable. Talking about Wonder Woman's breasts, no, that's misogyny.
Garbage.
I mean, and they're not saying anything with this article whatsoever.
No.
DC Comics booth at San Diego Comic-Con this week shows off the new movie costume for Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, including the Dark Knight's flattering one side. Press play above for a tour of the SDCC booth, courtesy of the YouTube user Amaray. You could also take a few sneak peeks below. Then there's the 4 animated GIFs, and then it goes on to say each costume will appear in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. For more on the movie, you can check out its Lex Luthor, learn why it's not a sequel, and see some recent photos of Batman and Wonder Woman hanging out. You could also watch the depressing trailer below. That's all they say in this article, and when I can read it out to you in less than 30 seconds, there's really no substance to this article whatsoever.
But this is what counts for Polygon articles.
Oh my god, I'm glad I don't fucking read Polygon anymore. My god.
Polygon, you mean polycrap?
I mean...
so wait, there was a time where you actually read Polygon?
There was a time where I actually read their video game news. There was a time where, yeah, I didn't notice their, let's just say, lopsided agenda. Yes.
Yeah.
But
we're learning things about you all the time, Christian.
But that was a time where it was like, yeah, ethics in video game journalism wasn't really a thing in the gamers' public consciousness, and all I really gave a shit was the games.
Hmm.
I think most gamers still really care about the games, but we're starting to realize that these SJWs, these sites, the whole of a lot of reporting seems to be so biased to turn everybody against each other.
Speaking of SJW websites, sorry Gamergate, even teenage boys are sick of sexist video games. Apparently, according to Raw Story, there was a study done that stated that out of approximately 1,400 U.S. youths, 47% of middle school boys and 61% of high school boys agreed that women are treated as sex objects too often in games.
Yeah,
recently,
that was actually a survey of one high
this
school.
morning. Just this morning. A twit longer appeared in my Twitter feed with several links to this study, and as it turns out, it was a straw poll.
Yeah, it was just a survey, and it was a
straw poll. It was a straw poll that went out to I believe 3 Tumblr blogs, 2 Facebook pages, and 2 Twitter pages. So it was a straw poll that was only placed in SJW circles. And this is where they're taking their data from.
Wait a minute. So it was taken from the SJW side, which we all know is going to tout the party line. But even then...
Oh, no, they're totally fair and balanced.
Oh, yes, of course. But even then, I want to point out something. Even then, half of them still think that there's no problem.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny how you could twist. First of all, the data is insufficient, to say the least. It's incomplete data, and it's lopsided and one-sided data.
Yes.
But it does say something when their biased data still shows half the people they poll as saying there's not a problem. They're trying to skew the numbers, and they
they're
still
fail. Failing. Yes. That is probably some of the best news I've heard all morning. But I want to also sit here and look at these articles, because these articles, you know, you got the Raw Story article, you got it on Time. They're trying to spread this message. They're trying to spread it so fucking hard. It's almost as bad as the Gamers Are Dead articles from the beginning of Gamergate. And I'm starting to wonder why. Why are they doing this?
By the way, I want to credit Cloudy Mao for the twit longer. She is at Ina Yesta, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, on Twitter. She is the one who posted this on my. She's the one who posted it on Twitter. So I just want to
Thank you,
credit
Cloudy
her.
Mao. Everybody go to Cloudy Mao's Twitter page and say thank you for us.
Yeah, YNAYESTA. That's Ina Yesta. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyways, continue, Jim. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, no. That's perfectly fine. I totally agree with you. Thank you for interrupting me and getting that taken care of. That was important. We should have done it in the first place. But like I said, I mean, it's a lot of this stuff trying to keep pushing this sexism in video games narrative, and I'm starting to wonder why they're doing it, because we've been seeing the SJW crowd start eating itself over this. We've been seeing the SJWs just falling apart because of Gamergate. I'm starting to wonder why they're pushing it so hard in the mainstream.
Well, here's the thing, and I recently, just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was watching a documentary on YouTube, a free documentary on YouTube about Gamergate. And the documentary was drawing all these connections between people like Anita Sarkeesian, John McIntosh, with Polygon, the two guys that actually founded Polygon, drew connections between all of them, and there's this organization, Games for Learning, and essentially it seems that all of these people are trying to grab a foothold in geek culture, particularly gaming, to use video games and other media like comics and that as propaganda devices for creating or raising voters who vote Democrat. They want to create liberal voters. So they're trying to use games and comics and sci-fi as propaganda delivery devices. And in 2006 or 2007, the two guys who founded Polygon gave a talk about this to Microsoft Research about how they could use software to essentially push a political agenda. And you can find that entire talk on YouTube. But I'm gonna try and find that documentary again to put it in the show notes. It's about 3 hours long, so it's definitely a meaty documentary to watch, but it draws a lot of connections between a lot of these different people, and it's an interesting documentary to say the least.
I'm looking forward to watching that a little bit later, but yeah, you get what I'm saying with this. If this is what they're trying to do, they're trying to create more Democrat voters. They're trying to stack the deck. They're literally trying to stack it so that they have power in this country. And I've got to say, if your ideas are so bad that you have to brainwash people into believing that your ideas are good. And I know I sound like a Republican on this one, but I want people to bear with me on this. If your ideas are so crappy that they cannot stand up to scrutiny, you need to rethink your ideas.
Well, I mean, what gets me is that they feel the need to be subversive about it. They need to throw in little bits here and there in video games, in film, in comic books, and they're slowly trying to introduce a fascist ideology, an authoritarian fascist ideology to the masses. Because geek culture is so fucking big nowadays. Geek culture is now pop culture. Make no mistake about it. Star Wars is part of pop culture now. Star Trek is part of pop culture.
All these things have been slowly becoming pop culture over the last 30 years. But if you have to hide it, if you have to use propaganda to support your belief system, and you have to, if you cannot, you can't defend it that way. If you're trying to brainwash people into what you believe, you cannot defend your point of view. I mean, I sit there and I talk all the time. It's like the best thing for people is to live their lives the way they want to. Yeah, there are going to be times where things are going to suck. Yeah, there are going to be times where people aren't always going to like everything, but still having the freedom to live your life. The principles the U.S. was founded upon: freedom, liberty, justice. Those things are probably the best basis for human beings to live their lives. To sit there and try and force authoritarianism, and to have to do it using propaganda, that says so many bad things about you, because you cannot defend your ideas against the idea of letting people live their own lives.
I don't know, but I pasted the link to that documentary. It's from it's created by a YouTuber called Seattle for Truth. Apparently he's well known for his investigative. How do I put it? I don't know, but apparently he's well known for being honest and actually getting to the honest truth of the matter. So check out the documentary. It's there, and hopefully it'll also be in the show notes for you listeners as well. If it's not, just search up Seattle for Truth, or just do a search for a Gamergate documentary. It should be one of the first hits. It's about 3 hours and 9 minutes long. You can't miss it. 20 minutes to the top of the hour, and we are already halfway through all of our topics, I believe.
Well, do we have any breaking news?
Do we? I don't know. Look, Nuff. Do we have any breaking news? Nothing.
Neffanor?
There. Do you even have enough?
News. There's only Zool.
Okay, so
oh, wait a minute.
I'll do it.
There's only Zool. I think we need
which
to
is
talk
a perfect perfect segue, and I know exactly why Neffanor said that. It's a perfect segue. The Ghostbusters all-female cast, some initial promo photos have surfaced, and let's just say they're going a long way to prove some of the initial backlash correct. Does it appear that there's anything particularly original about these characters? In fact, they are so unoriginal, it took me less than 4 seconds to realize which female character corresponds to which original male character from the original 1984 film. I could tell you which of the female characters represents Egon, Ray, Pete, and Winston. Well, obviously Winston, because it's the only black character in the cast. There's nothing original about these characters whatsoever.
Well, I'm starting to wonder, is there going to be a male Zool?
Well, we already know there's a male version of Janine, played by Chris Hemsworth.
Male Zool would be kind of disturbing. And anyway, it's male Zool and a female Vince Clortho.
Well, no, you had Vince Clortho,
who was played by God, what's his name?
Rick
Come on.
Moranis.
Rick
Moranis,
Moranis,
right?
Canadian. Come on.
I was trying to
SCTV.
remember his name. And then Dana, she was Zool, and then Gozer. That's who I was thinking.
Yes, yeah, Gozer. That's the one I was thinking was maybe they need a male Gozer.
A male Gozer. There we go. A male Gozer, a male Zool, and a female.
Well,
Vince.
remember though, Gozer isn't male or female. Gozer is whatever the hell it wants to be. So more than likely, if they're going to do it, it's going to be female anyway.
Well, see, I don't know. Everything about the film that's surfaced so far appears that it's a complete gender swap. Just
yeah, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to put a all-powerful being male.
Well, maybe
we're talking
an
social
evil
justice warriors. They won't do it.
Yeah, exactly. We are talking social justice warriors. So if you're talking about an evil, all-powerful
They still
being,
won't do it.
Sure
course
they
they'll
will.
put it in a male.
It's a way to take down the patriarchy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there's no pastry here.
But that's what I've been seeing the whole time I've been looking into this new Ghostbusters film. Is it's just a complete gender swap, and honestly, if it's pretty much the same fucking script, maybe change a few words here and there, but if it's pretty much the same fucking script, I'm gonna sit there and say, I'm gonna call it right now. It's gonna fail not because the script wasn't any good, because it worked back in '84 with those guys. It failed because you had bad actors.
Well, I mean, chances are they're going to create a somewhat original script. I wouldn't doubt that it's still gonna follow the same basic story structure of the original film. Like, you're gonna have Zool, you're gonna have Gozer, you're gonna have Vince Clortho. It's still gonna be, on top of the Empire.
No, it wasn't the Empire. It
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't.
It was
What
their
was
own
a huge
special
apartment
building.
Oh yeah, that huge fucking old ass apartment building. They're still gonna have a massive battle on top of there. You're probably still gonna see the marshmallow, the giant marshmallow guy.
I was going to say, the only thing that might be worth seeing this movie for is to see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man again.
Yeah.
And see how well they do Slimer.
Well,
Because you gotta admit, Slimer's pretty cool.
he is.
Slimer was funny.
He played a much better part in the second film, though.
Well, that's because in the second film he was actually a character rather than just there.
But I mean, I'm still gonna stay up to date with the news of the film. But apparently, there's also another Ghostbusters reboot being made with an all-male cast.
And what you bet that one's gonna have the shittier script?
It may.
Okay, wait a minute. So I'm confused here. They're rebooting it with females, and they're rebooting it with males, and what, are they planning on putting them out at the same time to see which one does better?
Not a clue, but the rumor is that they're also doing an all-male cast.
Well, what they're doing is a reboot in such that it's going to be a oh god, how'd they put it? A whole Ghostbusters universe kind of thing.
Ghostbusters Los Angeles, Ghostbusters New York, Ghostbusters Atlanta, what?
Exactly.
Okay, I've said it before. I think I've said it before on the show. There are times when things need to die. I think, Ghostbusters, as good as it was at the time, it's classic, and there are certain things that can't be remade. Ghostbusters, I'm starting to think, is one of them, just like I think Blazing Saddles could never be remade.
Well, I mean, Ghostbusters is one of those things where it's a fun classic film. It could have done with a proper third film. I think it was Bill Murray who was holding it back. He wasn't crazy about what they had in terms of a script, and so he wasn't committing to it. But if you were to just leave Ghostbusters 1 and 2 to their own devices, just leave them as they are, I think that would be fine. That would be more than fine. It would probably end up being better, because any reboot that is not done properly is going to fuck it up.
Well, it's not only that, and they did kind of do a third movie to a certain extent in the Ghostbusters video game.
Kind of, yeah. Technically, the script that they had for the third movie, a lot of it was used for the game, as I understand it.
Which I've played the game. It's actually a lot of fun. It's really good. It's really well written. It's one of the best games I've played in a long time, as far as story, which should say a lot about games nowadays. But at some point, you got to sit there and stop redoing things, rebooting things, and trying to make them better, because some things are not meant to be redone 5 million fucking times.
Yeah, the phrase "right in the childhood" exists for a reason.
Yeah, but I'm going to point out, the first, when Sony did the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, really good. Everybody was on board. It was so phenomenal. Then the second one, kind of a little less. And as you go along, you know movies progressively just don't do as well. But, after 3, then they reboot. Then they have that second one. Now they're rebooting Spider-Man again. At some point, you're saturating the market with something to the point that people don't care. And I'm starting to think that with this Ghostbusters, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I've said
Do we really need like 8
No, we don't.
Spider-Man films over the course of a 10-year period?
No, we don't. We really don't. And I've said all I really want to say on the female Ghostbusters thing, and the reason why I don't say as much is because I need to keep from going into a rant, because it's
just rant, woman, just rant.
Rant. I don't even know where to begin. It's just there's so much.
Do it now!
There's so much that there's a fucking clusterfuck with everything I've seen. It's
Run
like
to the audience!
It's like Christian was saying. It doesn't really seem like it's going to be anything original. Like it's gonna do anything new. It's just gonna be
a rehash of the old.
Yeah, I feel like it's just gonna rape my childhood. Like not in
a good way.
No.
I feel like it seems like this movie is just going to check a few boxes on a list just to say, hey, we stuck to somewhat of a formula. You can't be mad at this, and it's going to have a somewhat original script, but it's still going to follow the same story structure. Either way, it really doesn't matter. If the film bombs, they're still going to blame it on sexism, and if it doesn't bomb, they're going to say, see, feminist ideology wins. They're trying. It seems like they are trying to set up a win-win, but either way, if it bombs and they claim it's sexism that made it bomb, that's not going to be true.
No.
Sexism isn't the reason for the backlash to begin with. It's mostly just people who don't want a childhood memory completely destroyed.
Yeah, I was going to say that the reason for the backlash is just that people liked the originals. They don't want their memory of those originals completely trashed. And at some point, I think people need to realize there is a line you shouldn't cross with people, and I see these social justice warriors crossing it all the time.
Crossing it? They're pissing on it.
That's another way of
Well,
looking at it.
Seems like this bonus topic has been run into the ground. Somebody pull us into another topic.
Okay, so what else have we done? Have we not done? Let's see here. What have we not gone over yet?
How about
The
how
Australian
about
prostate crystal?
the Australian Broadcasting Company?
Okay, so what was that all about exactly? I've been out of the loop for like 2 weeks.
Get back in the loop. Okay.
I will.
Okay. Basically, a senior producer at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation said that a senator should shut the fuck up. Stop looking into any bias in their reporting. I have problems with this on multiple levels. One, I'm kind of pissed that, if the Australian Broadcasting Corporation was actually unbiased and would say that to the other side, that's cool. I'd be like, okay, I can see that. They're basically saying, freedom of the press. We got to report whatever we got to report, and that's fine. The problem with it is ABC down in Australia is known for its bias. And, it's kind of like Gamergate. If you're biased and you show your bias, you can't call yourself journalists. You can't call yourself newsworthy. You're just opinion pieces. All the way around.
Well, somebody needs to point out the absolute arrogance on part of this ABC producer. There is an incumbent senator investigating the ABC for breaches of journalistic ethics and journalistic integrity. And this producer feels it's necessary to tell the incumbent senator to STFU, or shut the fuck up. What does that say about the ABC?
Not very professional.
Well, not only does it say it's not very professional, they are overt in their bias, and they feel it's okay to be biased. They don't feel like they're doing anything wrong by breaching journalistic ethics. They are so arrogant in their bias that they are telling an incumbent senator to shut the fuck up. As if it's not a problem. Why are you investigating us? Just shut the fuck up. It's not an issue.
Some people.
I don't really understand all this crap. It's just, oh, God. What the hell is going on in Australia? Really?
Well, here's the
Yeah,
thing.
they seem to have become a feminist state, haven't they?
I mean,
Well, they
I've
seem
heard,
to,
I've
but
heard a
here's
bunch
the
of
thing.
things like that.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, actually. Gillard, or Gillard, whatever the fuck her name is, she was tossed out on her ass.
Yeah.
Because she tried publicly during a Senate meeting of sorts in Australia. I'm not entirely sure how the political process there works. She tried alleging that the opposition was sexist. And she kept using the term sexist, sexism, misogyny. She kept hammering the opposition with these accusations. She was tossed out on her ass. And as a result, the opposition became the more popular party in Australia. So you have the public, who seems to be sick and tired of the feminist ideology, but you have the media who continues to push it.
Fun.
Yeah. So, have we talked about the Electronic Expo thing where they're talking about there's a lot more
Oh,
female
E3?
protagonists? They're like, oh, look
Oh,
at all
God.
these female protagonists, even though there's less.
There's less. There's less this year than there was last year and the year
Yes.
before.
And the percentage is even worse, too.
Yes. But what really gets me, and we'll talk about the topic in a more overall fashion, but what really gets me is a more specific example. When Todd Howard, I'm sorry, I said that wrong, when God Powered was talking about Fallout 4 during the Bethesda conference, he made it a point to say that you can now play as a female character in Fallout 4. When
Yeah.
anybody who's played Fallout 3 and New Vegas, you always could. The female main character, playable character, was always a choice. It always was.
Well, this is the same kind of crap that the Snake has been using, or Sarslesian.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking.
Well, no,
I thought you were talking about Solid Snake.
No,
Yeah,
the other
and
Snake.
Sarkeesian started some other crap during E3 too.
She starts up crap all the time. She's just looking
I
for
know,
attention.
I know. She was just.
And the funny thing is, even some of her feminist friends are now starting to say, maybe we should start ignoring her.
Well, like, both her and John McIntosh were tweeting about games like Doom and saying how they were so hyper-violent, and John McIntosh said something to the effect that the people who were cheering for Doom are sick individuals.
Yeah.
It's Doom. And even though Sarkeesian tweeted out something to the effect that, oh, it's not enough to just say it's violent because Doom, well, it absolutely is, because Doom was always hyper-violent.
Yeah. And if you don't like that sort of game, don't play it.
You don't buy it. That's the thing. That's what a free market is all about. You don't like it, don't buy it. Buy games you do like. Support the games with your money. Support the games that you like with your money.
No, but you see, they want the government to support these games that they want.
Well, again, that kind of goes back to my point previously. If you're not able to support the things that you like, it might mean that you're just kind of weird. But and I know I sound like an asshole like that. I don't have a problem with it. But also at the same time, it shows how out of touch with reality you might be.
It shows just how uninterested they actually are in gaming.
Well, no,
They don't buy these games.
In fact, bonus.
Oh, God damn it. God damn it.
Now you come up with the fucking...
You're going to like the bonus topic, though. This one's actually related to this.
All right, we'll go on to the bonus topic, but then we'll circle back. We'll circle back to
this one.
To the E3
Tale
one, okay?
of Tales, making a game called Sunset, a very social justice-inspired game, failed so spectacularly that it only sold 4,000 copies, and the company decided they are going to quit making games. But not only that, on their way out, they pulled a filfish, blaming gamers for them failing.
Well, here's the thing about that. Tale of Tales actually hired Leigh Alexander's PR company. And
So they hired Drunky Drunk.
Yeah, they hired Drunky Drunk. In hopes that the PR company would be able to increase sales. It didn't.
In fact,
it didn't affect sales at all.
Probably made them worse.
It didn't. Actually, it didn't make it worse either. It had no effect on sales at all. None. No positive, no negative effects. Just no effect.
That's a pretty shitty company.
It is. If your PR company has no effect, I mean,
even a negative effect.
You can make a case. You can make a case that even a negative effect would be better because then it actually showed that you did something. When your PR company puts out a PR campaign that has no effect on sales of a product whatsoever, it just shows that you did absolutely nothing.
Well, that's probably because she spent all the money on drinking.
Now, the reason why Sunset actually failed, okay, and I looked into it. The game is, in the game, you play as a maid, a black female maid, during like a war/revolution. Now, nothing in the game, you don't get to see anything of the revolution. All of the information you get is from sort of in the main character's head monologue type commentary. You don't fight in the revolution. Your job is pretty much clean the house of the person who owns the house. You don't get to see anything of the revolution at all. Nothing. The story is just given to you through monologue type commentary. That's it.
That's pretty pathetic.
Well,
That
want to
sounds
point
boring. It doesn't sound like fun.
I want to point something out. Yeah, Sunset does sound really bad, but there's also an Indiegogo project being funded. SJW Riot, Tropes versus Women in Video Games. And this looks like, just total backlash against the SJW crowd.
You want backlash against the SJW crowd? I'm going to say one thing. SJW Riot, Troops versus Women!
That's what I was talking about.
That game is going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, but see, that's kind of what I'm saying. You look at the market. Sunset, which is an SJW ideal game, bombs. If SJW Riot actually just blows up and does well, what does that say about how based in reality the thoughts of these SJWs are?
Well, I think it also needs to be said that the Indiegogo campaign for this SJW Riot game isn't actually doing too well. It raised, I believe that's the symbol for pounds. Yes.
Yes.
1,370 British pounds by 91 people in 15 days. It's only 5% funded, and they're halfway through the funding process. Now, Indiegogo is different than Kickstarter. Kickstarter, you actually have to meet your goal in order to get the money. Otherwise, it gets refunded to the people who pledge. With Indiegogo, even if you only get 5% or 1%, it doesn't. If you get $1 out of a $10,000 Indiegogo campaign, you still get that dollar. So the company who's making this game is still going to get this, 1,300, 1,400 pounds. And
it's for those that are interested, it is Indie Devil on Twitter, who has the distinction of being known as the guy who says boobs are life. Boob is life, which is true.
Yes, boobs are nice.
No,
as we've already. No, I wouldn't go that far. But boobs are very nice. I'm more an ass and a leg. Hey. I'm an ass and a leg man, all right?
No, say it to a baby. Boobs are life.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but the thing with this is even though I don't think this SJW Riot is actually going to be fully funded, if it is, great, wonderful.
I think he's going to make it.
But I think he's still going to make it too, but I think it'll even if it still comes out, it'll probably still do better than Sunset.
Oh, it might do better than Sunset.
It's
just because I've been saying this for a while. In the gaming community, those who have picked a side, Gamergate is the majority. The anti-Gamergaters are the minority in this. There's still plenty of people who are remaining neutral, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But out of those who have chosen a side, Gamergate is the majority. That's just how it is. So it very well may do better than Sunset if it's ever released, but I don't really see it selling any more than maybe 10,000 copies.
Yeah. Well, going back, I think it was one of the articles, like Time or something, the ones where they were saying, men are starting to think that women are over-sexualized in video games.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't see any of it. I mean, this isn't going to be doing so well. I don't think this will do that well. Sunset didn't do that well. Honestly, I think somewhere in the middle is the actual thing, and I will bet money that if you look at the games that really do well, not just I'm talking about on average, not the specific markets like the first-person shooter, the ones that have the great storylines, the interesting characters, good graphics, good gameplay. You know, all of these things come together to make great games, like Mass Effect. I will always say how great Mass Effect is, even though the ending of 3 sucked.
You don't even have to look at AAA games. If you want to look at indie games that have done really, really well, like Super Meat Boy, for instance. Super Meat Boy started off as a Flash game called just Meat Boy on Flash game websites like Newgrounds. And they eventually brought it to the Xbox Live Arcade, Steam, and actually I don't think there was ever a PlayStation release for Super Meat Boy. But a game like that, it had little to no story. It was just your basic, princess was captured, gotta go save the princess. What was enthralling about the game, what made that game absolutely fucking amazing, and one of my favorite indie games of all time, the gameplay. It was hard as fuck. The level layouts it was so fast-paced, and the level layouts, you died. In each level, you might have died like on an average of about 15 to 20 times before you got through the level. It was difficult. But it was fun. It was difficult, but it was fair and fun. Other games like Papers, Please that do have more of a story, and the gameplay elements force you to care about the story. Because at the end of each day, by the way, Papers, Please is a game about paperwork. You're essentially checking everyone's credentials at a border crossing. And you have to decide who gets let in and who gets refused. And if you let in the wrong people... And it's not just any border
crossing, it's like Russia, Cold War era.
Glory to Arstotzka. Papers, Please is right now my second favorite indie game of all time. It was the first, but that was recently replaced by Shovel Knight, which is another awesome indie game. You should check it out. Shovel Knight is amazing. By Yacht Club Games. Absolutely incredible. And just full disclosure, I am not being paid to say that.
I am, on the other hand.
In Papers, Please, you're assigned a position at a border crossing where you have to check everybody's IDs and credentials, their passports, work passes, things like that. And if you let in the wrong people, you get demerits. And the more demerits you get, the less money you get paid at the end of the day. And you have to make sure that your family's fed, the heating is on, because your family can freeze to death, they can starve to death. Medicine, if they get sick, you could also upgrade to a bigger, what they call housing dwelling, which is just a bigger apartment if you want to. There's something like 16 different endings to this game.
Wow.
It's a small little game you could pick up. I think it's like $5 or $10 on Steam right now. It might even be cheaper. I picked it up. It was like $2 on a Steam sale, and it was the best $2 I've ever spent on a game ever.
Yeah, it is awesome.
But I mean, there's a clear difference. Like in the AAA dev scene, you have a lot of companies who are just making half-assed shit, just to get it out the door as quick as possible and make a buck. You also have some great AAA developers who are truly making great games and who seriously have a passion for producing great gaming experiences. But in the indie side of things, you have quite a few developers who are truly trying to make something awesome and something innovative, but you also have to look out for those who are You have to look out for indie devs who are extremely pretentious. pretentious, very pretentious, and they think themselves geniuses, and the rest of us are just too stupid to get their genius.
Us plebs.
So I mean, for every Papers, Please, for every Shovel Knight, for every Super Meat Boy out there, there's 3 to 5 Sunsets out there and Gone Homes out there.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Gone Home actually beat out Papers, Please in a competition.
Yeah, but I mean, wasn't certain people like Nathan Grayson,
exactly.
and weren't they all on the fucking judges panel?
Yes, they were.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
fuck,
only 10 bucks.
Depression Quest apparently even beat out Papers, Please in an indie, what is it, Indiecade competition?
Yeah, that's a load of bullshit. Oh no, yeah, it was Depression Quest. Not, yeah. It's garbage, though. It's like, really? You're gonna use that? I'm sorry.
Yes, Papers, Please is all of about $10 on Steam right now.
It's an amazing game. It really is. It's fucking awesome.
And it's not even that big. It's only like 26 megabytes, 27 megabytes. I'm downloading it right now.
See, look at that. We're already selling games for these guys, and they probably already got more than they need.
Well, Papers, Please was a huge success for an indie game. So was games like FTL, Faster Than Light, Nemoria, all excellent indie games. But like I said, for every one truly amazing indie game, there's 5 Gone Homes, 5 Depression Quests.
All
5
because
Sunsets.
they know somebody.
Yeah. So it's the gaming industry it's starting to become a crapshoot.
Well, indie gaming, yeah. And the thing is, you know why a lot of that is? A lot of these indie games are coming from people developing mobile games. And the mobile game market is already saturated with shit.
But
I mean,
we were
just
talking
take a look
about
at
E3.
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird was a huge success. It was such a huge success that Google introduced their version of Flappy Bird as the what do they call it? As the Easter egg in Android Lollipop.
Yeah, but the thing is, look how much money it made, and look how silly it was. I mean, the game really wasn't anything.
Yeah, it was a little silly game where you tapped the screen to keep your bird flapping, and you had to go through these obstacles. And if you hit the obstacles, you had to start over at the
Personally,
beginning.
I
And
like
whole
the
point of the
version
game,
that was out. I like the Allo Akbar version of it. It's a plane going through Twin Towers.
But here's the thing: the game itself was a massive success, and it was pulled off the store because the developer was depressed. Apparently, he made all this money. He made something like $30 million or something like that, and he was depressed. And so he pulled the game and stopped developing it. But you can't measure success based on what you personally like. You could hate Flappy Bird. The fact of the matter is, it was a success. A lot of people did enjoy it.
I still don't understand why, though.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, look at Angry Birds. How can you explain...
That actually at least has some playability to it. There's strategy to that. Flappy Bird is no strategy.
Yeah, but Rovio seems to be milking Angry Bird for all it's worth. They're not doing anything but Angry Birds.
The original game, great idea, awesome. You did a good job with it. Now it's like, okay, let's keep milking it. No, thank you.
Well,
but we were
again,
discussing E3, the fact that apparently everybody's heralding all the great female protagonists that are in the game shown off at E3, but they don't. Maybe they do realize it and they just don't give a shit. There were less this year than there were last year.
Of course.
And some of the ones from this year were introduced last year.
Yeah, that's the other thing that they never talk about.
And a couple of them, like Lara Croft in the new Tomb Raider game, a repeat character. I mean, she's Lara Croft. She's already an established female protagonist.
Yeah.
Shh. Stop giving facts to break their feelings.
But I mean, female protagonists have always been a part of games, going all the way back to
Samus
Aran on the NES, Mario 2, Super Mario Brothers 2 on the NES. You got to play as Princess Peach, which, by the way, was the best character in the game, just because she had that floating ability. She was awesome.
She had floaty ability?
Yeah, she could float. And so you were able to actually get onto places that were used as shortcuts that the other characters couldn't easily get to.
I see how it is. She's just lighter because she's a woman.
Yeah, you know, I ended up watching most of E3, and I don't know. There were some games that kind of caught my eye, but I wondered how much of it was just pandering. Like, you would notice they're like, okay, by the way, here's another game with a female protagonist. Cool.
There was what was it? Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yeah, where it was 50-50.
50-50. Then there was Dishonored 2. In Dishonored 2, you're playing as, I think in Dishonored 2, it is exclusively a female protagonist. Then there was Horizon Zero Dawn, which, by the way, looks fucking awesome, and I can't wait to play it. You play as a female protagonist in that game.
That game looks freaking awesome, yes, I must admit.
The new Tomb Raider game, which I'm looking forward to, because I liked, I enjoyed the reboot.
I enjoyed the reboot. I've enjoyed the reboot, but I just haven't been able to finish it. I just don't have time.
Well, it's a really good game, so I'm looking forward to that. It's everybody was saying that it's going to be exclusive to Xbox One. As it turns out, it's a timed exclusive, so it will eventually be coming to PC and PlayStation 4. It's just coming out on Xbox One first. What else? What other games had female protagonists in them? Fallout 4, which we already know, always had a female protagonist option.
I'm trying to think of the ones that they had a few, I think, for Xbox. But I'm trying to think. Damn.
I mean, if they're including Joanna Dark from the Perfect Dark series in the Rare Replay sort of re-release, then sure, I guess. I don't remember anybody complaining that Perfect Dark had a female protagonist.
What, Mom?
Best chicken I ever made.
Mom, I'm in the middle of... Jesus
and you're not
Christ.
muted.
I'm sorry. I was going to talk, and then my mother burst into the door. I'm sorry.
Lol.
Thanks.
And now it is saved forever on the internet.
God damn it, Mother.
So I mean, really, like, you know, let's try and think back. I mean, Horizons, Zero Dawn. If you want to include Joanna Dark in the Perfect Dark re-release with the whole Rare Replay thing.
If we take out all the re-release, the ones that have already been rebooted, let's look at the brand new. Because honestly, I think that's more of the benchmark is the brand new.
Okay, so Dishonored 2, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Horizon Zero Dawn. Are we counting the new Tomb Raider game as a new game, or are we just considering Lara Croft as an established character?
We're considering her established.
Okay. So far I have 3. What other games at E3 had a female protagonist that's new?
There was that one game with a robot, I think, and then there was like the girl in the orbs and thing. What's the name of that one?
Orbs.
Yeah, there's some kind of orbs or something with the.
The robot one is Zero.
Yeah. You're talking about the one with you were playing a female character with like a bow and arrow, and you were going up against like
no, that's a different one. That one.
T-Rex.
No, that's a different
one.
one.
If they're redoing Final Fantasy 7, you got Yuffie and
Tifa.
No, this
that's a redo. That's we're talking about new characters.
Yeah,
no,
new
this
characters.
this
new
wasn't that one. I know exactly which one you're talking about. This was different. This was another one where this girl seemingly has, I think, robot companions and things like that. I don't.
Oh no! The kid, that was a kid.
Yeah, I thought it was a girl.
The big dog or whatever.
No, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking of The Last Guardian, Nefanor.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you're thinking of The Last Guardian. That was a different
I think
one.
that's actually a boy. I think that's actually a boy.
Yeah, that
Although
one was a
it's
boy.
not entirely clear.
I'm talking about a different one. I just, for some reason, I remember that particular, trailer. But there was like a girl. I think she's looking. She's got like, I think there's some kind of like orbs or something that light up, and those are the things that power the robot, because her robot dies, and then she takes like the inner part out and then puts it into another one that just happens to be there, and then it has all the memory that her little friend had. And then you continue on.
Oh God, I remember that trailer, although I can't remember the name of that game. Let me Google it real quick.
Either.
Keep going.
But yeah, there was that. I'm trying to think of oh God. No, but I mean, I remember there were distinctly some female protagonists, or at least playable characters. Like, I think that there's the one in the new Assassin's Creed game. I don't know if it's a playable character, but it's there. And then there was that game where I think you can be like a samurai, a knight, or something else. I'm trying to think of the other. They seem like they have different classes. And you can battle against one another, and they had the option for female characters, and I understand that we are suspending a certain amount of disbelief because we're in a game world, but it just kind of seemed a little bit weird that you would have, like, I don't know, a tiny girl like flinging around a claymore. I don't know.
Why not? Everyone does that.
I don't know. But yeah, they had female versions seemingly of all of the characters as well, so you could play as a female character. Oh, but yeah, it didn't really seem like there was a lot that wasn't memorable. There were some things that were memorable, like what you were bringing up, Nefanor. The one with there was the kid and sort of this dog bird thing.
Yeah, it's The Last Guardian. That game has been in development since 2007.
Yeah, it looks pretty awesome.
But the game you're thinking of is called Recore.
Yeah, Recore.
Recore. Then there's also Nier R2, Beyond Eyes, Adrift, Tacoma.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Fable Legends will have a playable female character. Battlecry. Tom Clancy's The Division has an option to play a female character. Dishonored
But that was
2,
that's not new.
Mm-hmm.
Hellblade.
Yeah.
Overwatch. Battleborn. Ashen. Black Ops 3 will have playable female characters.
Why?
Well,
No,
now that when you kill women, it's misogyny.
There's also The Walking Dead Michonne. Telltale Games is doing a mini-series just on Michonne.
And then, of course, the recent announcement of, or with more details, of Minecraft Story Mode by Telltale Games.
Yeah. But I mean, sure, there were plenty of new games with new female characters out this year, but there were still more last year. So, I don't know.
Well, I think it hurt it that Nintendo didn't really have a lot to bring to the table this year. Just kind of a little bit of.
They had Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah, but Yoshi is like a dude, isn't he?
Well.
Yoshi's Yoshi.
Yoshi's Yoshi. He's a miniature dinosaur thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Why you gotta bring gender into this, Rachel?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I always thought Yoshi was a dude. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe because Yoshi was voiced by a dude in the cartoon.
They also should. Well, Bart in The Simpsons is voiced by a female voice actress. So
no,
what?
but you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is that they're very, yeah. Even so, she's definitely trying to have a dude voice. That's the voice she's trying to make.
Voice, to be precise.
You know what I mean. A lot of young boys.
No, Rachel,
young boy
what do you
characters are
mean?
voiced by women because of the. God
But
damn it.
Nintendo had Yoshi's Woolly World. They also had a new Zelda 3DS game, which it looks like it's going to play a lot like the Four Swords Adventure did on the GameCube and the GBA. Except instead of having 4 Links, you now have 3, and people are complaining that Link is not. There's no female Link in that game.
Yes, because female Link makes so much sense.
Yeah. It's not like there's not, Princess Zelda, who is actually a pretty kick-ass female character in the series. She may be the princess, but she's by no means a damsel in distress. Ocarina of Time, at the end of Ocarina of Time, she kicked fucking ass. And also, as Sheik in Smash Brothers, she kicks ass. What else did they have? Honestly, you're right. Nintendo didn't really have much to show off this year. I mean, they were really just showing off some new amiibos.
Yeah.
Oh, and they did have one thing to show off. Puppets.
Yeah. Oh no, not the puppets.
Speaking of showing off.
Are you talking about Rachel again?
Well, no, we're not going to talk about Rachel and her anal obsession. We are going to talk about San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, yes.
This
Aggressive
is
cleavage for the win.
Oh, no. This is the place. This is geek culture brought forth into the mainstream. I mean, we talk about geek culture for a lot of things and how it's now pop culture. Part of the reason why geek culture is so mainstream now is due to San Diego Comic-Con and stuff like the article that I brought up from Dig. If you refresh the page a couple of times over the course of a couple of days, you'll see new things added. Like, here's one that actually gets me excited. They're doing The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I actually watched the original TV show on reruns. That excites the hell out of me to see them bringing this back as a movie, but only if they do it right. You have, let's see, a full trailer.
Ash versus Evil Dead. Ash versus Evil Dead on Stars. Oh my god, and they actually have Bruce Campbell.
Oh. AMC, Fear the Walking Dead.
I don't want to fear the Walking Dead. They're kind of boring.
Yeah. Zombies are dead.
Exactly.
You have the trailer for Halo: The Fall of Reach. New trailers for Fantastic Four. Extended trailer for Season 6 of The Walking Dead.
Didn't they have a decent new trailer for Ant-Man too?
They probably will. Comic-Con gets exclusives like you wouldn't believe. But like
Lego
this one.
Dimensions.
With the Doctor.
Yes. And I can't believe Dig. I can't believe Dig said this. Lego Dimensions is a game that will feature Doctor Who. His name isn't Doctor Who. It's just the Doctor.
Yes.
God damn
I think they made it. They might have meant it as featured Doctor Who characters, and they just forgot the.
Well,
and
no.
by the looks
thing
of it,
with it is you can have all the Doctors.
I know that looks cool.
Okay, because looking at the initial image for the trailer, it looks like it's Peter Capaldi's.
Well, they gotta have him.
Yeah, you do have Peter Capaldi, but if you watch the trailer, you'll notice that it shows every single Doctor.
Yeah, because I saw. Oh God, which one is it with the scarf?
That would be the one with the scarf is.
It was the fifth one, wasn't it?
What's his name?
Baker.
Baker.
That's it.
Yeah, Baker. There was a trailer for Series 9.
Like, hey, that looks cool.
There was a trailer for Series 9 of Doctor Who.
A teaser for Sherlock.
For an upcoming Sherlock special. So no news on an actual Series 4. Trailer for Mockingjay Part 2.
Meh.
Hey, I like the Hunger Games movies. I actually do.
I haven't had a chance to watch them.
I saw the first one, haven't seen the second or the third.
Ken Masters is returning to Street Fighter V. A new trailer for Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2.
They had a
I haven't
trailer
even
for
played the first one.
They had a trailer for the new Warcraft, but that was pulled down. The Warcraft movie.
Yeah, see that's the thing. I'm looking forward to the Warcraft movie, and I have been waiting for years for an official trailer to be announced, or even actual screens from from film shoots.
The trailer was shown at Comic-Con, but you can't watch it because Blizzard won't let you keep it up.
That's stupid. I want to see the trailer. Oh my god! And I'm looking at the cast list and looking at the list of characters that they're having. They're gonna have King Rin. They're gonna have Gramash. There so many classic characters from Warcraft lore, and just the cast, the actors and actresses that they cast. I'm saddened that they don't list. God damn it! What's her face?
Jaina?
Jaina Proudmoore, yes. Jaina Proudmoore is not listed as a character as of yet. That information may be, they may be keeping that secret to be released at a later time, but as of right now, Jaina is not listed as a character, which kind of worries me because Jaina Proudmoore is such an integral character to Warcraft lore, especially during the initial orc versus human war.
And especially after Pandaria.
Yes. But the movie is actually going to take place before the the movie is going to take place during the events, I believe, that led up to the first Warcraft game, Orcs versus Humans.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be about the initial Orcs versus Human war.
Oh God, what is that one wizard? Not Medivh, but the one you find in the one that was the head of Dalaran before Jaina.
I don't know, but Medivh is actually a character in the movie.
It doesn't surprise me. He has to.
What about oh God, Caverns of Time instance?
No, not him. I'm talking the one that's sitting there right beside a doll in Shatrath.
Yeah, no. What I'm talking about is I want to know if you have Caverns of Time, one of the very first Caverns of Time. The orc that you free. Oh God,
Isn't
what
that
is his
Thrall?
Yes. I mean,
Thrall isn't listed as a character.
Oh, jeez,
that's kind of.
And that's very strange because Thrall was a pretty big. Well, Thrall was a pretty big part before he became leader of the Horde. He was a pretty big part of that initial war. In fact, he became leader of the Horde because of his honors that he received during that war. So,
Archmage Khadgar.
Yes, Khadgar. I don't remember
better
seeing
be in
Khadgar.
it because he was a huge part.
Oh wait, yes, I think Khadgar is listed as a character. Let me check the IMDb page real quick.
Yeah, he better be because he was like one of the biggest and most powerful influences in those games.
All right, so far there's Anduin Lothar, Garona, Medivh, Duratan, King Lane Rin, Blackhand, Lady Turia, Orgrim, Khadgar,
Good.
Moroz, Gramash, and I think that's it for the main characters. Everything, Gul'dan, Kaelin,
Blackhand.
Oh yeah.
Alamon.
If we're doing that stuff, then yeah, those guys definitely.
Varian Rin, a young Dylan Shambing is playing a young Varian Rin, and that's it for the main characters. So no Jaina Proudmoore, no Thrall, although Ryan Robbins and Daniel Cudmore are both on the IMDb page, but they're not credited with any specific role. It's just empty.
Let's see, Klansman, Varian Rand, Dylan Schomburg, Human Villager, Knight. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot. Now, the thing with it is something I also have to point out. This is an animated movie, so
But it's
some
got
of these
voice
people.
actors.
No, it's
Yeah,
not. It's
Oh,
not
wow.
animated. It's live
What?
action. The orcs are obviously going to be CG, yes, but the humans are all live action. They've
This is
said
gonna be
that
interesting.
from day one when they first announced it at I think BlizzCon 2011. They said it's going to be a live action film, and it's Legendary Pictures that are doing the film. So you bet your ass it's going to have some kick-ass
It's
live
it's
action scenes.
well, I was going to say it's going to be extremely high quality.
It's going to be legendary.
Ba-dum-bum.
It's going to be legend. Wait for it. Dairy.
Dairy.
Can we get-
No, I'm not thirsty right now.
Can we get past that? But yeah, I'm looking through the entirety. Yeah, this costume. This is live action.
Mm-hmm.
This is,
and that's why I
and
want
I'm
to see
looking
a
at
trailer for
this.
it so bad, and it sucks that I had like, do I really have to go to like San Diego Comic-Con? Because they're not showing the trailer off at BlizzCon at all.
I'm
They
sure
have-
it'll be posted online after Comic
The
Con.
most they've shown off at a BlizzCon was, I believe, last year's BlizzCon. They had a few concept arts that they showed during a panel.
They have several things up now. Yes, Warcraft movie trailer to be shown today at Comic-Con.
And it'll probably should be online
In
tomorrow.
Hall H. Yeah, it'll be online tomorrow. They don't want you seeing it before they show it at Comic-Con. That's
and before
why.
everyone gets a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be waiting for that tomorrow then, because I want to see this trailer. Oh my god. I have been waiting for this movie for like 5 years now. I want this movie.
But yes, this is what you find at Comic-Con every year. This is why geek culture has become part of the mainstream, is because of San Diego Comic-Con. However, you cannot get tickets because it's impossible. Because
Unless
San
you know
Diego
somebody.
Comic-Con... Well, yeah, if you know somebody, you might be able to get in, but San Diego Comic-Con has the worst way of getting tickets, and everybody who goes... Everybody who went last year was not able to sign up for this year's tickets ahead of time. But this year, everybody who goes this year who has tickets for this year can sign up for next year. San Diego's been screwing things over quite a bit.
Well, it also doesn't help that they sell out literally within minutes as soon as they go on sale. So
Yeah, but see, part of the reason why they sell out is a lot of people sit there and they buy 10 fucking tickets
and
at a
scalp them.
time and scalp them, yes.
Yeah, that's another. Scalping has actually become a huge fucking issue. One of the things that pissed me off was when they announced Fallout 4 Pip-Boy Edition. It literally
God, yeah.
sold out within a couple of hours, and it was initially only available in the U.S. And when they finally opened it up for like Amazon.ca in Canada, it sold out within like 20 minutes. And now you go on eBay, you have people selling their pre-orders. One guy is selling a pre-order for a PC and an Xbox One version, both for $1,200 or $1,300.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'd have looked. I've looked at Comic-Con tickets some years, and I've seen them go for 5 to almost 10 times the price, and you're talking about 4-day pass, like $150, $160.
Now, scalping has become a real issue.
They
And
need to stop it.
convention tickets are no exception. I mean, if you want to go to a San Diego Comic-Con, you've got to be extremely lucky, or unfortunately, your only way to get any tickets is to buy one from a scalper. So.
Or know somebody.
Yeah.
Know somebody or blow somebody.
Hey, Rachel.
We're talking about blowing somebody, and the first person he goes for.
Why would you talk to me about something like that?
Because I don't
We
suck
wanted your
dick.
opinion, actually.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, I mean, what else is there to talk about? What topics did we not get to?
No, that's it.
Well, I don't know.
We're actually done for once. We're actually done early.
Who are you people, and what have you done with the regular crew?
Exactly. What happened? I think. It's
Well,
just...
actually, we can talk about one thing that is new that came in the gaming world that
Do we
happened
have
this past
breaking
weekend.
news?
Oh,
Breaking news from this past weekend, Minecon 2015.
and how did that go?
Well, apparently they did some more features.
It probably
on the
did
new
better
one.
than DashCon.
Well, I don't know. They're still cleaning out the ball pit from that. Oh.
Oh.
Actually, though, here's the best part, and you're gonna love this. Minecon had a ball pit, and all the balls were cubes.
That sounds painful.
Well, they were plush ones, but still, you gotta admit that was freaking hilarious.
That is cute, actually. That is
I was like, that's awesome. But they talked about some of the stuff from 1.9 that's coming, like the fact that you can respawn enders or ender dragons easily. There's a whole new dungeon type that's coming, dual wielding, all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think before they introduce a new dungeon, they have to make sure that the last one they introduced actually shows up a little bit more frequently. I still have not yet found a jungle temple.
Oh, jungle temples? No. Those don't. Those are freaking rare.
I find a lot of desert temples, but I have still never found. And I have
not technically
created
a jungle temple. It's a what do they call it? They call it something else.
I just call it a jungle temple because it's a temple in a jungle.
Or is it a jungle temple? Well, I'm trying to remember. There's actually a couple different things. There's the one that's underground that you have to find, and that one is freaking rare.
That's usually an ender temple, and that's where you usually find the ender portal.
But they call it something else. But those temples are there. They're just rare.
Did they have any other news at Minecon?
Oh God, they were talking about a lot of stuff. But they talked about the Pocket, or pardon me, not Pocket Edition, Windows 10 version of it, which is basically the Pocket Edition on Windows. And it's going to be, or not Pocket Edition, the Xbox version on Windows, and it will be able to play with the Xbox version.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool, because that means Xbox and Windows 10 can play together.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Microsoft is actually looking to do that with all of the games. The
problem is they can't do
Windows 10
that with the PC version. They can't do it with the straight version because you've got multi-platform.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So they will have to release a new version for Windows. However, Microsoft is actually looking to do that with a lot of their games. As soon as Windows 10 releases, they're going to be updating the Xbox One dashboard to run a version of Windows 10, and they're also going to be including Xbox One game support on Windows 10. So you'll be able to play Xbox One games on a Windows 10 PC, but only the digital bought copies of the game from the Windows 10 store. You won't be able to buy a physical Xbox One copy and pop it into your disk drive.
Well, that's kind of silly.
But if you do buy a game on the Windows 10 store, you'll also be able to download that game on your Xbox One and play it on both. Same thing if you were to buy a Xbox One game on Xbox One, you'll be able to also download that from the Windows 10 store on your Windows 10 PC.
You know what that's going to end up doing, though, don't you?
What?
It's going to start making Xbox not. Why would you get an Xbox?
I know. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot but
Well,
at the
not
same
necessarily,
time, it
because you
might
have.
also. Go ahead, Jim.
I was going to say, you have people who are strictly console. Then you have the PC gamer, the PC master race. Being able to incorporate the two together and increase the player base, allowing for more matches on certain games, I can see that. But I also can sit there and say, okay, yeah, in some cases the people playing on, say, Xbox may not be as good as the people playing on the PC. You could
Well,
do a
who
little bit
knows?
more with the PC.
Who knows? Who
It's
knows? Because as far as we know, this is only going to work with the Windows 10 Store versions of those games, not with Steam versions. So what kind of controls are they going to allow on the Windows 10 PC? Are they going to limit you to an Xbox One controller? Are you going to have to buy an Xbox One controller for PC? And are they going to allow keyboard and mouse at all? Probably not.
You never know.
I mean,
I have a
it's going to
feeling they
be
might allow
interesting.
keyboard and mouse.
Now, don't get me wrong. If they try to limit you on the Windows 10 PC to an Xbox One controller for Windows, there will no doubt be people out there who will code certain programs, input translator programs that will translate your keyboard and mouse controls into Xbox One controller controls, X input interface controls, so that you can use your keyboard and mouse. Just like, they're doing it right now on consoles with hardware. I have a Zim 4 that allows me to use keyboard and mouse on my PlayStation 4. It also works with Xbox One, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. But they might try and Microsoft might try and limit the PC players on that end, at least on their Windows Live service, to just Xbox One controllers.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing with it is I can see what they're trying to do, and to a certain extent, I think it's a pretty good idea because, after a while, some games don't have the players coming back, and having more people playing will allow for longer life of the game, especially in
Yeah,
multiplayer games.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of people say that that's an issue, but it's not really. It's more of an issue for newer. Like if you look at every single release of Call of Duty, the new game servers see a huge uptick for the first month or two, and then it quickly dies off as most of the players go back to the previous game because the new game is just not good enough.
Yeah, but I'm going to look at, say, something like Mass Effect multiplayer or other games like that, where over time the player base moves on to something else, and then you have a very, very small player base. Used to be in Mass Effect multiplayer, I could get in a game within a couple of minutes, very easily, even pugging it. Now sometimes I have to wait 20 minutes just to get a full group to play it. And that's what I'm saying. I think they're trying to solve that by expanding the player base. But I don't know. I don't see that being. I don't see it doing well in the long run because, as we all know, somebody's going to complain that somebody else is doing better.
Exactly. That's how it always goes.
Now, did they show off any more of Minecraft HoloLens at Minecon?
Yes, actually they did. I didn't see any of the footage on that, but they definitely showed it off.
Because that's actually something that has me interested. I'm still really looking forward to getting a Project Morpheus for my PlayStation 4. Maybe an Oculus. Maybe an Oculus Rift as well. But with the Minecraft HoloLens that they showed off at E3, it certainly has me more interested in HoloLens as a different way to do VR.
Yeah, I gotta give Microsoft credit on that. That was a good, solid choice.
It was. Rather than just showing you the in-game world, it's showing you video game elements mapped onto the real world.
And that's not VR, that's AR.
Yeah, that's augmented reality. But I think going with the augmented reality in the way that they did, I think it's actually quite interesting. So I will give Microsoft credit for that.
Hey, even though I dislike Microsoft with a fiery burning passion, I still have to give them credit for that. Their, what do they call it, the Microsoft Research, those guys actually do produce some damn good shit.
They do. It's just unfortunate that corporate has to fuck it up a lot of the time.
Yep.
Anything else from Minecon that was interesting?
Not that I remember. I was mainly looking at some of the panels there, especially the redstone panel, because that's my kind of thing.
Redstone circuits. Oh my. That was a genius idea, adding that into the game. That was just pure genius.
Well, yeah,
it's such a simple mechanic that you can... Exactly. I mean, it's such a simple mechanic, but the applications are just so complex and massive and just diverse. It's absolutely amazing what you can do with redstone circuitry inside Minecraft. It's absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, we didn't get the chance to really talk about E3 in any sort of, in-depth, in any sort of detail.
Next year.
Yeah, next year we'll definitely have to do. What I want to do is I want to start doing an E3 post show, the weekend before E3, and then an E3 pre-show and then an E3 post show. Talk about the pre-show, talk about what we're looking forward to, what we're hoping will be at E3, and then the post-show talking about what was at E3 and what excited us at E3. But I think we're about 5 minutes left in the show. Should we start wrapping up?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we can wrap up a little early.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go to Rachel first this time. Rachel.
What? Hi.
Final thoughts on any of the topics we talked about.
Final thoughts.
Please make sure your mom doesn't burst into the room.
Yeah. Farewell, Chairman Powell. Don't forget to let the door hit you on the way out.
Don't forget to let it hit her.
No, Chairman Powell, yes. Go. Bye. Bye, Powell. Pow.
Nephenor.
I would just like to say that it's time we took back geek culture for geeks.
Jim.
Well, I got to agree with Nephenor, but part of that is San Diego. Start getting more people back into there and stop screwing over the fans who made you what you are.
It was actually interesting. I've been watching Mundane Matt's videos from the San Diego Comic-Con, and the convention center, he did his speed runs, and although there were a lot of people there, it didn't look like there were as many people as I would expect to be at San Diego Comic-Con. There was still plenty of room for you to actually maneuver around people, and he was actually able to do his speedrun videos fairly quickly, and he walked through the entire convention center too. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, there are some spots where you literally have to be able to dodge, weave, and pull off acrobatics to get through, but there are parts where you can just walk through fairly easy.
James, do you have any input and any thoughts?
No, I do not.
Need input.
As for me, I don't really have much to say except, Ghostbusters seems like it's just going to be a just a gender swap and nothing more. And that's pretty much it. So until next time, take the red pill.